What's up, everybody? Welcome back to SingleCut TV. Dan Bronson here, General Manager at SingleCut. Stoked to have everybody back. We haven't seen you since the winter. We were literally staring out the window at snow drifts covering all of our cars the last SingleCut TV. But spring has sprung, flowers are out, pollen is in the air. There's a tornado of allergy fun going on here in beautiful Astoria, Queens. But, as we're going to talk about later, we're fortunate enough to have some very nice pollen here. It's a little spoiler alert for later in the episode. We got a cool one this week. We're being joined by our good friend Jon Kielty from Big aLICE Brewing, our neighbors down in Long Island City here in Queens. True Queens OGs, going back 8 or 9 years as well. Old schoolers here holding down the scene, doing super creative stuff. And we were blessed and spoiled enough to get to do a long form collab with them, the newest in our supergroup series that we called 1, 2, 3, 4. In honor of true uncut Queens energy. Without further ado, we've got a stacked day today. We're going to be tasting the beer, talking with Jon, and talking with Alan Busch, our senior brewer and production manager here for SingleCut Queens. And now with all that out of the way, Alan, Jon, what's up?
What's up, Dan?
How are you guys? It's about 4:30 on a Friday. Which is very, very nice, because for office monkeys who just talk a lot for a living like me, this is party time. You guys have had an actual entire week of real work, so thank you for taking a busy moment out of your busy lives to drink and bullshit with us today.
This is great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Just good to be here. Made it.
So, Jon, we've had the pleasure of knowing you for years, and if you're not from the area, Jon is a well-known and familiar face here in Astoria, a patron saint, and an OG Dithmartian. God bless. Welcome in, Jon. Tell us about you, man. Tell us about what you do and what makes you happy.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'm Jon Kielty. I'm the head brewer and production manager for Big aLICE Brewing. Big aLICE opened up way back in 2013. I started with these guys just as a volunteer intern, just trying to get my feet wet in the industry. Quit my job full time about 6 months later and took over all the brewing operations about 3 or 4 years ago. So I've been at it for a while with these guys.
What do you love brewing at Big aLICE?
We got to brew a big range of styles, but right now we're a New York State farm brewery. So the biggest thing we're passionate about is promoting local agriculture, specifically doing a lot of beers that are 100% New York State grown and processed ingredients when we can.
Yeah, that Farm Brewers program is something that's like such a privilege for New York brewers. A big thanks and what's up to our state legislature and executive department for making sure that craft beverage producers and farmers keep getting looked after in New York State. Super cool program.
Yeah, for sure. It's been awesome kind of seeing the growth of that since 2013 with the inception of the law. I was originally introduced to boost agriculture here, and to see just the growth of that part of the industry in the state over the last 7-8 years now has been really special.
It was fun. I think everybody was like, they love farmers when they're thinking about tomatoes, potatoes, and wheat. And then when they start thinking about booze, then suddenly the dollars start coming out.
Right.
Like, let's do it, you guys. More farms, more beer. Alan Busch, my dude, how are you?
Can't complain. I am the head brewer at SingleCut Queens here in beautiful Astoria, as Dan mentioned. I've been with the company about 4.5 years, and I got my start on a personal note. Jon and I have had very similar career paths. I actually interned for Jon for a few days. I was cleaning kegs when I started at SingleCut, and I, similar career shift, 4 or 5 years ago when I decided to jump in. I had just been doing, my background was just a little bit of home brewing here in Astoria. Got started out doing that and realized I wasn't very good at making clean beer at home, and kind of dove headfirst into sours, wild yeast, mixed cultures, and kind of fell in love with all the different variables to play with on that side, and yeah, here we are now.
So I think that's like one thing the three of us have in common. We were all kind of in the homebrew scene at one point, kind of the same time. Before we talk about this delicious beer, tell me about your worst beer. What's the worst thing you ever brewed? And what did you do with it after?
I don't know what the worst one was, but I think we all probably had that, you know, dreaming of that juicy IPA, and then it comes out as a malt bomb, and you know, you're like, why is that amber brown? I don't understand. And I suffered through maybe 25% of it before realizing it just wasn't worth my time consuming.
John, what about you?
Yeah, I think the quickest one that pops to my mind is as a home brewer, I was making this awesome strawberry pale ale that I was super excited about. Loaded the carboy up with strawberries, heard like a big bang in the kitchen one night, and 2 days later opened up the cabinet to find out that it just got under pressure and blew up. But I think my wife would say my first ever homebrew kit, I got like a Mr. Beer kit, and it was like the extract, like the liquid malt.
Oh yeah.
And started to go for it. First ever time making beer, didn't add enough water, and I'm just like stirring this thing on the stove as it's just like thickening and thickening and thickening, and I'm like, this doesn't look right. I had to throw everything away, but I was so excited the next day to go out, buy another one, and try again. So I'm happy I didn't quit that thing.
That's a great story, man. I love that. Yeah, there's nothing better than swiping that credit card with that idea of like, but this time I got it this time.
Different. It's going to be different the second time.
It's going to be better. That's right. Yeah, what a wild turn. It's like, I think we take it for granted how, like great brewing principles, like they translate, they go up the chain, you know, all those little mistakes 10 years ago paved the way for delicious shit like we're going to drink today.
Right.
Yeah. And without further ado, let's crack into this. Today, we're going to be drinking the newest in the SingleCut Supergroup collab series. This is 1-2-3-4. In fact, I got to re-say that because you can't say it that slow. You have to pronounce this beer 1-2-3-4 and click it in for excitement. Since we were teaming up with some other Queens OGs, we had to name this beer kind of in honor of musical Queens OGs. We thought, like, what's the most quintessential Queens punk thing we can do? It's like, oh, well, we got to just click it out, you know? Hit into that song fast and hard. So 1-2-3-4 is a super long-term project here. This beer is aged over 6 months. A sour done with some super cool proprietary yeast brought in from Big aLICE and Jon, and then aged in some really cool barrels. Alan, what led to how this beer works? Tell us about the inception of the idea.
Yeah, sure. Pretty straightforward idea off the get-go, as most of our sours are. We don't really start out with a destination in mind necessarily, more so a foundation. So this started out as a simple red ale base beer, nothing particularly special about it. Initially, we had pitched some mixed culture, bacteria, and yeast to get it started. And we brewed this. I want to say we found the photo from 2 Decembers ago with Jon and the crew here in Queens. And then kind of just figured down the line, we'll figure out, where the beer will lead us. Pitch some yeast that Jon had cultivated and grown up, which he'll talk about a bit more. And yeah, we kind of just let it go, and and it was probably about 6 months into the aging process that we realized that this was really ripe for some wood aging. So we looked for sourcing some oak barrels. We ended up landing on some killer stuff from Lockhouse Distilling in Buffalo, New York. These beautiful gin barrels that we just couldn't resist picking up. So we grabbed those and let the beer chill in there and develop for another 4 to 5 months, I want to say. and yeah, just the longer it went, the more crazy botanicals got picked up, and yeah, so this was, truly let the beer lead us to the finish line rather than, trying to force any flavor profile on a product when, we were open to however it developed.
Barrel-aged gin is one of those things where it's so obviously delicious, but it's still so hard to find. It's like it should be a common item, but you still really have to go searching for those old toms. Like they're hard to find.
Yeah, it's not a common product.
But the flavors play so well. I mean, you've already got this warm spice. You already have like a lot of that peppery, spicy wood element. I mean, aging it, like on French oak or something cool like that to really like give that depth. It's such a pleasant experience, but it's still a specialty product. It's like ham on a cheeseburger, It's so obvious, but you never see it. That's all I got. I have nothing else to say.
The first analogy that came to all of our minds.
Yep. That's about it. John, what's up with this yeast? For those of you who aren't drinking this beer with us, there's a bunch of super unique things about it. Aged in the gin barrels, that in and of itself is a cool twist for sure. But this beer is actually fermented with a proprietary yeast, which has a very Astoria origin to it. John, tell us about this crazy stuff.
Yeah, so this yeast is like our brewery baby. We've got a lot of love for this. In this whole theme of keeping it local and keeping it New York, we wanted to kind of develop a yeast strain that would be unique to us. We settled or came upon these figs in a friend's backyard here in Astoria. I'm an Astoria guy. You guys are both Astoria guys. SingleCut's in Astoria. This is a neighborhood that means so much to all of us. And as I started researching the neighborhood, it has such a rich history of immigration. And with that, a lot of people from Greece and Italy, Croatia, when they traveled here, they brought with them trimmings and clippings from their grapevines, their fig trees, their persimmon trees, their cherry trees. And when they got here, they planted them. If you go around the neighborhood in the winter, you'll still see some of the bushes like wrapped up and barrel lapped to try and treat them from the climate. But we have a lot of these like fruit trees in this neighborhood that now grow wild that were brought here at one point. So we were able to capture some of these nice ripe figs. We brought them back to our brewery. We got them propagated up with some yeast, kind of kept feeding them, growing up a nice yeast strain from it. And now we work with Omega Yeast Labs in Chicago. They've got it banked for us. They cleaned it up for us. And it is now our house Saison yeast. It's still a clean yeast, even though it's from the wild. But it's got some really nice, funky Saison-y character. The type of yeast is similar to the Saison yeast used at Saison DuPont, which is really fucking cool. Oh,
Nice.
I don't know.
You can fucking go for it.
All right.
Fuck all you want. No, you're fine. This is 21 and up channel.
All right, cool. Long story short, that's kind of where we came upon this yeast, and we use it wherever we can. It's present in all of our Saisons. And it was a no-brainer for us working with you guys here in Astoria to find a way to incorporate it.
Kind of impossible for this beer to be more local than that. The beer was literally made by the fig trees that all of our older neighbors planted 50 years ago. That's pretty dope.
It's awesome, man.
Oh, well, let's drink this thing. This is actually my first time getting to really sit down and enjoy this. So nice. I'm stoked. I'm having a great time here. For everybody drinking at home or picking up a bottle, we still have a few of them available. You can get them on SingleCutDelivery.com if you live in the New York City area. You can get them at SingleCutNorth.com if you live upstate New York. But they're going quick. So if you want to grab a bottle to taste along with us watching this video, don't wait. Go and grab it ASAP. As far as glassware, brewers, what do you guys think? What are you drinking out of?
I got a straight up kind of multi-purpose wine glass, something with a slightly tapered mouth to trap some aroma. But you can go kind of any direction. I prefer a taller glass for this particular beer, but
I think that's good advice generally. When in doubt, white wine glass. It's hard to go wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a half-filled Teku today.
I'm joining you with that one. And if you've never seen this glass that John and I are drinking out of, it looks like that's got a sweet Big aLICE brand on it. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Can people pick that up at the tap room still?
We may have a handful left.
Cool. And we got some SingleCut ones at the SingleCut tap rooms too. Just like a really good utilitarian glass. I always like to talk about these Teku glasses. They're like the magnifying glass of glassware. So they're not perfect for every style, but they're great for things that have like a lot of nuance or a lot of subtle characteristics. It'll really let you zoom in on those flavors. Got a beautiful tight bell for trapping in aroma there. A little flare on the top to make it easier to drink out of. And it's not too wide at the base, though it does have a nice big bell there. So it's cool. It's maybe not like the best glass for something that's like hyper spritzy, because you will lose a good amount of that carbonation in there, but it's perfect for getting your nose in there and taking in something as complex and stacked as 1, 2, 3, 4 is. But let me turn it over to you guys. What am I tasting here?
Yeah, I was just about to say there's so much going on in this. It's pretty awesome. I mean, right away I get a lot of the botanicals from the barrels. That's all in the aroma there, but like that the tasting notes from this is just that really nice, clean, like dried fruit. I don't like sours that are overly sour. This is like just the perfect amount of tartness for me. Yeah, we're loving it.
Yeah, I don't know where to start with this because it is multi-layered, but I think John nailed it. That you can't. I mean, the botanicals hit you like if you were just getting hit in the face with like a bouquet of like stuff, like plants and flowers and some spices too. But the mouth feels super bright and like it is almost like spritzy. It's almost like a gin, like a light gin cocktail, like you would maybe get out from like a Tom Collins glass or something. But then I get a cool like vanilla finish from the oak too. There's I feel like every sip I'm like finding something new that I didn't get the last time.
I love sours. I think that's something we all share. I know that has a lot of kind of our palate DNA goes back to sours, but every year that goes by, it gets just a little bit harder for me to just drink them. Physically, it's so much acid. Something like 1, 2, 3, 4 is so perfect. Just what you said, Alan. It's just dialed in. It's just enough acid to really like define all the fruit, define all that spice and that floral character, and all those cool vanillin characters you get from the barrel and all that. It's bright. It's spritzy, not just in the carbonation, but like how effervescent the flavor is. Like it really jumps out of the glass, and it's just that perfect level of sour.
It's an interesting. It's I don't know. It's almost counter to a lot of sours that you find where the sour is the predominant note. I find that the sour in this beer is just it's a supporting act. It is just like bringing up all of the, like, I don't know, arguably more interesting stuff that you're getting from the gin. But then it fades away. It doesn't linger. It doesn't like hit you in the teeth or anything. It doesn't start or finish sour. It's like very strange. It's just like right in the middle, just kind of gives like a little like boost as you're like swallowing. It's wild. It's very interesting.
What are we eating with this beer, guys?
Me, I'm keeping it simple. I'm doing like a nice baguette piece of bread with like a nice creamy funky cheese with it. That's where I'm headed.
Hard to find a beer that doesn't taste delicious with. That sounds real good right now.
Yeah, you got a good one. I would say anything lighter. I could do this with like a grilled fish taco, or something light. Like it's starting to get warm here in New York, but it's like a little chilly today. I would prefer to be drinking this on a porch, like maybe in a hammock if I could, if that helps.
Also hard to find a beer that doesn't taste good in a hammock. I like that.
True.
That's a good plan. Yeah, I wish I had the grill going right now. Some like real like sport fish, like some like grilled swordfish or something like that would be super tasty.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, something that's light but got some depth to it. That's what this guy is all about. How are you guys on beer and food pairing? That's been something that was real big a few years ago, and now people seem to be kind of moving away from that and saying like, oh, you know, it should just be on its own. It should be with like a little bite, but not maybe with a whole meal. Do you still love the doing the full meal pairing and replacing beer with wine like I do?
I mean, I love it. But I mean, pre-COVID, we were doing events called Between the Barrels down in our barrel room, where it would be led by myself and one of our in-house cicerones, and we were doing the whole pairings with our beers and stuff like that. And I loved it. I think there's so much you can do with it. I think beer itself is so versatile in the foods that you can pair it with. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You can easily pull beer out and separate it from food, but why would you? You know, I mean, sure. I understand having some crispy boys in the afternoon and, you know, and not trying to think about it. But if you're like trying to enjoy or trying to explore flavors, right, it's a beverage. I mean, beverage and food has been going hand in hand, you know, way longer than we've been around. So why fight it?
Dude, I totally agree. I was not supporting that heretic theory that you shouldn't have beer and food together. Just curious what others are thinking. Well,
yeah, this is like an appetizer, or it could be a dinner beer too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Something light salad course for sure. So much flavor in such a an easily sessionable package with that acid really dialed in there. I mean, it's just.
You could even go dessert. It's got a little bit of that,
that's true.
Like that jamminess to it, like that nice fresh jam.
Yeah. Even beneath the botanical stuff, there's a bunch of like cherry flesh or something like that.
Right.
You know, there's a bunch of like really strong, like fresh fruit that's hidden down there. That you could totally pair that with a fruit tart or, you know, something fun like that in the summer.
And nice and dry. I mean, it really is like a perfect food beer. I think one thing we can all say for certain is y'all nailed it. Great job. It's delicious. And I'm glad we had an excuse to all drink it together. That was my personal favorite part of the beer.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, we were looking forward to this for a long time. And like I said, with kind of growing up in beer with Jon, like in super parallel paths and getting to work with him occasionally, this was a long time coming, but super stoked we got to finally do it.
So I always like to save one question that I don't prep people for. So Jon, you're going to go first as you're the true guest of the show today. You got to tell us the Desert Island record, the Desert Island beer, and your surprise question for today, because it's been a theme of the week, the Desert Island burrito that you're taking with you as well.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, no pressure, but all of America is watching you right now.
All right. Record, and I may get slack on this. I'm going Amy Winehouse first record.
Ooh, that's
vinyl,
fun.
On vinyl, fantastic. Beer, I don't know how I'm going to set the draft up there, but it's going to be a perfectly poured pint of Guinness on this island. And then burrito, we're going to keep it classy. We're going spicy chicken.
Oh, you got the Tinga in there.
Yes, sir.
And Jon, you grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So was there rice and beans and burritos when you were growing up?
No, not really. I'm from the woods. I'm from we've got a like one pizza. But when I was there, there's you got a pizza spot, you got a Chinese restaurant, and then that's really it. We're nowhere near as diverse as here in Queens.
That's a high bar to set, though. That's hard. I think we have 118 languages actively spoken in the borough
Right.
of Queens.
Lot
wild.
of venison.
A lot of venison. Yeah, for sure. Okay, venison burrito. Got it. Bold choice. Alan?
So I think of those three, the record is the hardest.
For sure.
Just because it's so varied. But I would probably choose for the beer what I think might be John's second choice, Allagash White. And for the burrito, I would go with the Carnitas. And for the record, I would probably stick with Pet Sounds.
Oh, that was my choice in a conversation last night, actually. I was talking about my dream disc I always want in the collection is I want a first press of Pet Sounds. And I want one that's almost unplayable because I want the record that like a bunch of like wavy-haired California surfer boys bought and they put on and they listened to it and were just asking themselves like, why are there goats? Like, why is there so much stuff going on in this record? Like, I just wanted to have fun in the sun. What is this? And then they listened to it again and again and again, and they started to spiral down the tunnel of insanity. And they just played it so many times that it's worn out on both sides. That's one of the copies that I want.
Yeah, you'll find it.
I'll find it. I think so. I'm feeling good. John, where can we find you on social media? What you plugging?
Yeah, so come find us at Big aLICE Brewing on Instagram, Twitter. I think Facebook is just Big aLICE Brewing. Come hit up our spots where we've got our main brewery and tap room in Long Island City. We've got a barrel room in Brooklyn, and it's soon to be second brewery up in the Finger Lakes.
Yeah, that's right, man. We're excited for your Finger Lake spot. That's going to be a nice little road trip.
Getting closer.
Sweet. So all you cats out in central and western New York or north Pennsylvania, you're going to have a BA much closer to you, which is awesome. And it's looking gorgeous. We've been loving seeing the photos coming around. So congrats in advance on what's going to be an awesome opening.
Thanks, buddy.
Sweet. Alan, where can folks find you online?
I'm simple. I'm at G Allen Busch at wherever you want. Primarily Instagram.
Easy peasy. I love it. And then obviously for you folks who are tuning in, you're probably watching it already on social. You can always find us at SingleCut Beer. I'm at SingleCut Dan. But more importantly, thank you an immense amount for all this time, John. That was awesome. Alan, thanks for taking time out of your crazy brewing week to come on here and blather as well. We know we love it.
Anytime.
My dudes, thanks so much.
Cheers.
Love those dudes. The best. One more time, if you haven't got your bottle of 1234 yet, do not wait. This was a super small production batch. There was only a few cases even to start. We saved a little bit to kind of coincide with this video, but SingleCutDelivery.com to grab yours either delivered or picked up in New York City. SingleCutNorth.com to grab it for our upstate SingleCut North taproom in Saratoga County. We've got a few set aside, but do not wait. Grab one, grab extras. They'll age great. This beer is 18 months old already. It's going to taste great for years to come. So it's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning into SingleCut TV episode something. I think it's like 4, 5, a million. I have no idea anymore. It's spring. It's beautiful. It's New York City. So we're out of here because we're going to go for a walk and enjoy some of that sweet, sweet fig pollen. I'm SingleCut Dan. Thank you. See you guys soon. Adios.